So I've been reading this book, Pole Pole, and there's some topics that zenye nimekuwa nikishare that align with my truth, and but so there's one that nilisoma, and I camped there for a while. I was thinking, like, this one has imeni affect directly. So on this chapter anabonga kuhusu sweet isolation, and I guess isolation has been termed to be a negative thing. Okay, if you not isolate, I guess it's seen as a bad thing, but kuna isolation yenye, there's a kind of isolation yenye like is purposeful, and I guess this is the kind of isolation yenye anaongea kuhusu, not the kind of isolation yenye you're isolating just just out of isolate. So there's a few things I like um, about this, and so one thing I'll say about isolation is it's not for everyone. There are people when you wanaitwa social butterflies, like that means that they're extremely social and they need to be around people. And me, I actually, this is one of the areas that I have struggled in, and not struggled in the fact that I'm struggling, is one of the areas you even na marafiki wangu, like my friends, mimi mwenyewe, I mean, I have done it for a long time, and so imekuwa like a behavior, a learned behavior. So sometimes it's hard for me to initiate things. You know, I just like being indoors now. I like being alone. So, but this is one of the areas that I guess most of my friends wameongea kuhusu juu I have done some funny things just because I don't want to go out. They may make up stories, but so this is what she writes. You see, when I'm surrounded by my own company, I feel at peace. This is me. I feel in control. I guess control is all it really comes down to. That is so true. Yeah, when you're in your own space, and this is one thing about isolation, is that you're in control. You're in control of your environment. You're in control of everything. And when you're around people, you are not. So, when someone else is in my life, I tend to give a lot of my power away. I find that my mood, my emotional state, is a direct reflection of how I feel they are doing. Wow, that's a wow right there. Or maybe this was once true, or perhaps it is not any longer. I think that for me, this is all I've ever known. So, my brain automatically thinks that this is how it will be forever. Wow. I find myself at a time right now where my internal power is being so tested as I reflect on how I look back on who I have become, on the challenges that I have faced. I'm amazed at myself. No matter how dark it has become, I always find myself breaking through grounds that were once covered with cement. So alafu anasema I'm beginning to realize that I have utterly fallen in love with being alone, with my own solitude. As much as I try to convince myself that I yearn for another, that loneliness consumes me. I think that the idea of letting someone in scares even more. So, but hapa nabonga kuhusu some few personal things, but especially kama uko outside Kenya, this is something that like I'm sure most people have to deal with. You socialization is very different. By the way, sometimes you can feel lonely when you're in a company of people. Like if you are in a group of people, like you can feel lonely. But from what I've seen, especially culturally here, it's like kila kitu is like you have to do things appropriately, and it's not all, but most. It's not like you can unaweza show up at somebody's house like, you know, sometimes you can kaa ni mtu unajua, but not all cases. But the bottom line hapa, what she's trying to say is like, you know, if you're in isolation, let it be purposeful. You at one point in your life you will be there, but the point is not to live there. The point is not to live there. So, and I know me mwenyewe, I have done a bad job at this. Like I have been so much in this kind of a state to where like it's so easy for me, like, you know, even if I'm invited to go out now angusha just because I want to be in control of my own situation. But I'm not saying like I don't do it. It's not like I don't go out, I do, but like a huge percentage of my life has been consumed by this. And so many people have told me, you know, to step out, go do this, go do that, go. But I prefer to be indoors a lot. But it's not that I'm depressed. It's not that, you know, it's not all those things. And for some reason this year nimejaribu, I'm trying so much to go out, you know, to go out and do things. I think I made a video about that. But if you're in isolation, let it be purposeful. Or Alakamas, it's not purposeful, you know. I think we need to put a name on that isolation. Either it's stress, anything related to your isolation. I think it's good to put a name on it so that you know what you're dealing with. You obviously, if you're isolating due to depression, you need help, you see. But if you're isolating to discover yourself or to figure out what's going on in your life, I think that's permissible. And she's also trying to say like it's okay. You, the minute umebonga kuhusu isolation, people think that you're struggling, you're suffering, which is true, but I don't think it's everybody who is struggling or suffering. So that is why I've been camping. Hapo ndipo nimecamp. When I read a book, if I read somewhere that I feel like that topic is like if that topic hits home, I stop right there and I let it just, you know, I let it just, I don't know, what do you call this? So I let it do this until I pick up the next chapter. So yeah.